Hey all, this is Meg from the Surviving UX podcast, and this episode is going to be another mini episode, and it's going to be a mini episode. We did record a conversation between Jasmine and myself, but we were at the end of a working session that we were doing for the prep for this conference, and we only had a short amount of time to really talk about mostly the vibes of how we were feeling about things. And because we wanted this episode series to be also about insights into the process over, a couple of weeks of getting ready, I thought I'd just chime in here before I throw to that conversation about kind of the exact state that we're at and maybe some of the reflections that I have had on the process of putting the talk together. So we do have now a slide deck together. It's not just this thing that's kind of like in our heads or something that we have been back and forth talking about. We actually have real slides with some real written out notes and topics to talk to, stories to talk to. But even though we have our slides, we have this physical or I guess digital thing together, one thing is that we don't really work on them in a linear fashion. And in doing this, I'm reminded again of how often this happens where I'll be working on something and the story that I think I'm going to tell in the presentation is ultimately not the story that gets told, because at some point through feedback from practice talk, or in this case, like feedback from Jessamine, like I think about retelling the story in a different way, and oftentimes even starting with the end and flipping it on its head, essentially. And so we've been doing that a lot in the deck itself, of moving slides that we thought were maybe later and moving them up, and moving the ones that were up down farther in the talk, or moving things out entirely and kind of replacing them with slides that we have in our appendix section. So actually our appendix section is probably 2 or 3 times larger than the actual talk itself. And we're just keeping those slides around just in case we do change something and we want to pull something back in. So like right now there's like an animated GIF that like my heart just loves, but right now it just doesn't really make total sense for the story. So we're going to hold it in that appendix area, and maybe we'll pull it back in if it makes sense. And if it doesn't, I'll use it for something else. So, and then I guess the other thing is like on the positive side, because I think our conversation maybe focuses, you can kind of tell some of the nervous energy that we have right now, is that on the positive side, it is really nice to see the visual parts coming together. I feel like when I look at the deck now, I can kind of see a collaboration of ideas that Jasmine's had and that I've had. And it's neither a blank page, which can be really daunting because at first you start with nothing. And it's not something that I hate looking at. Like I look at it and I think, this is not close to like where we should be or what's in my mind. Like we're at a good place right now, which is a really good place to be. Do I think that we should be farther along in this process? Probably, but also we're probably going to work up until the time that we have. We're going to fill the time anyway. So even if we were farther along, we'd probably still continue to work and refine. We are continuing to finalize some things, and I would like to do some more practicing, because if anybody was asking me for my advice and what to spend time on in if they were preparing for anything, my recommendation is that you practice as many times as you can, really, with people, real people. You can do it online. You don't have to do it in a physical location, all that, though that can be really helpful if your talk is a physical talk. It's nice to simulate the environment that you are going to actually be presenting in. In this case, I'm not sure that we can really make that happen on this time frame, especially since Jessamine and I are not in the same physical space until we actually get there. But it would be my recommendation to always have, people in your circle, professional, friend, wherever your friend and professional circle kind of intersect, that you can call on to maybe jump on a call when you're feeling close enough to having kind of a full end-to-end picture of your talk, and so that you can practice it and get feedback. It's a good idea always to tell people like how far you are away, what things you're willing to change and not change in the time that you have left, so that you're getting really good feedback that isn't going to frustrate you and make you feel like, oh, I need to make these kinds of changes under a lot of pressure. That's kind of why it's a good idea to bring in maybe some people who are kind of on your side, but also know you well enough to like be able to like give you some straight feedback about what they think and are perhaps in your field, so that they can kind of give you a simulation of what an audience of your professional contemporaries might have a reaction to. So anyway, we haven't done that piece yet, but that's something that I'm hoping that we'll be able to do in the next week or so. So we will be able to come back and talk about that. But for now, I will share with you the conversation that Jessamine and I had, and we will be back to chat more about this topic in the near future. Hello and welcome back to the Surviving UX podcast. I'm Meg Kramer. This is Jessamine Edwards, and Jessamine Edwards' child is screaming in the other room. That's about the state of things here as we are now 2 weeks away from prepping for this conference. Yeah, we are going to make this one really short, but I did want to like just capture this moment in time, capture our feelings. And so I'll go first. I knew I had an offsite next week. I just learned, Jessamine, you have an offsite next week as well.
Why do we have offsites in the same week?
So this is kind of funny because we're doing this and like having to put our focus there and our energies there, and then we're going to be doing the talk that we're going to be doing in 2 weeks. And so it is a little bit like, I'm sure, or at least the way I'm feeling right now is like my full focus and attention isn't on prepping for this. And even though we do have 2 weeks to like practice, a lot of time is going to be eaten up by travel and by other things as well. So anyway, that's an interesting part to this. Maybe not everyone's experience as they like ramp up to a conference, but an interesting piece of how our regular lives just keep going on. So yeah, what's your like inner monologue right now? And yeah,
I feel so underprepared. It's so crazy that I don't usually feel this way before public speaking. I usually feel pretty confident.
Yeah.
But now I'm feeling super nervous, and I'm looking at our slides and I'm like, we've got to rework everything. And Meg's like, stop.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't want you to like have anxiety. I want you to feel prepared, but like also like we don't need to rework everything. Hopefully part of this will just be fun. I don't know. We'll see.
Oh my gosh. I hope so. I hope so. I mean, I think for me, I'm hoping that somebody in the audience is like, I like what they're saying. This resonates. This hits for me. That to me would be like, this made it worth it. Like this effort made it worth it to put together this talk and like have something to say, because truly I do struggle sometimes at conferences to be like, what is this person on about? What's their message? I don't get it.
Yeah.
And I listen and listen and listen, and it's a lot of platitudes, and it's a lot of like I value this, I like that. But I think that like the biggest challenge for me in preparing for this talk is really coming up with the best stories to
Mhm.
tell,
Yeah.
because the story will help illustrate whatever it is, the point we're trying to get across. It'll
Yeah.
do the work, right? So I'm like, how good? I need to make the stories good.
I think that's fair. I'm
Yeah.
also learning a lot about like how you roll and how you work.
And you're like,
Because
I'll
even
never
though
do this with
no,
her
because
again.
even though we have done this podcast and basically like run this whole thing between the two of us and collaborate on this is a slightly different process. And like I was we were just doing a run through as we said we would do last week. Uh and like you weren't really reading off of anything, or at least that I know of. And it felt like it is it is definitely like a different style of prepping than I
I
have.
can't. When
Um,
I'm nervous, if I'm talking,
yeah,
like, you know how in
looking at something.
cartoons, like letters will become like shapes?
Oh,
Like,
oh,
I literally cannot
you're like,
read.
where are they?
Yeah,
Okay.
it just turns into shapes, meaningless shapes, and
Yeah,
I can't read. I have to talk. And that's why I think I'm nervous, because I'm like, I need to know what I'm going to say. I can't write it down.
yeah,
Writing it down gets me to the point where I'm comfortable enough to stand up and have something to say,
yeah,
but I don't feel like I can just go up there with some notes.
yeah,
I at the when we step up there, I don't want to be looking at anything. And one of the feedbacks I've gotten in the past is stop looking at your slides, because I will literally like turn around and look
and look
over
at your
my shoulder
slides.
and like look at the slide. And it's a terrible habit. And
Yeah,
I want to look at the audience, and I just want the slides to be the background. Like, I want people to focus on me
yeah.
and what I'm saying, because what I'm gonna say is gonna blowing their hair back, hopefully.
Hopefully. All right. Well, we're gonna wrap up. Um, we're gonna meet again soon, and we have some more work to do, I think.
Yes.
But still a fun
Could you imagine
fun
if we tried to write a book
exercise.
together, Meg? We're working on what, like 10 slides here?
Oh my God. We would,
It would be
yeah,
like an 8,000 year project.
yeah. But it's not a bad idea.
Hmm.
Um, well, maybe. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
Okay. I
You're like,
basically
why did I say that out loud?
I basically bullied Jessamine into recording right now. So I'm gonna let Jessamine go and I'm gonna publish this. We'll see you next week.
Bye, Meg.
This mini episode of Surviving UX is brought to you by Jessamine Edwards and Meg Kramer. Our theme music is Opus Number 1 by Tim Carlton and Derek Deal. We will be having this mini episode series run until, we said originally September 20th, but that's actually about the time that we will be recording our last couple of episodes. So we may go through the end of September. And if you are listening to this in the future, though, the next episode is waiting for you right away.